Yo, what is up, NBA fans? It's Mike here. Today we are continuing the series that I have started of the top 5 players at each position for the 2021 NBA season. Today we are going to be doing episode 3, the small forwards. If you haven't seen my point guards and shooting guards video already, please go check those out. But without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. And first of all, I gotta get the honorable mentions out of the way. And there are 2 honorable mentions for this list, and that is Bojan Bogdanovic, who I learned today while making this video. His name is pronounced Bojan and not Bojan, because I'm an idiot and I just assumed the foreign dude's name was pronounced the same way you would pronounce it in an American pronunciation. So yeah, I saw Bojan and thought, oh, his name must be Bojan or something, or Bojan. Nope, it's Bojan. So that's interesting to me. But Bojan Bogdanovic just had a fantastic season. Very underrated season in my opinion. This dude was really, really good for the Jazz. The Jazz managed to be really good despite Mike Conley disappointing, mostly because Bojan was fantastic. He had the best season of his career. He shot not quite 50-40-90, but pretty close with the exception of the field goal percentage, as he did shoot 90% from the free throw line and 41% from 3. Dude was just a really solid player. I honestly kind of wish the Sixers had him instead of Tobias Harris, but I digress. Alright, and then the other honorable mention I gotta say is Brandon Ingram. Dude had his first, and not likely to be last, All-Star season last year. He's just a really good player. I believe he also won Most Improved Player. He played really well for the Pelicans. I'm interested to see how well he plays with Zion, but I do think that they can play pretty well together, and Ingram can continue being a very good player. So expect him to make it onto this list in the next few years. But getting into the real list, alright? At number 5, I have got to put Chris Middleton. And I gotta say, I really think people underrate Chris Middleton. Like, the man went from being maybe kind of overrated last year to now he's suddenly, like, people just think he's trash. Like, I've seen a lot of people who don't think that he is an all-star level player, and I just gotta say, those people are wrong. Okay, this man was 0.3% away from a 50-40-90 season this season. As the second best player on the Bucks, averaging 21 points a game, he had a fantastic year, okay? 21, 6, and 4 with a steal, and he did that on basically 50% shooting from the field, basically 42% shooting from 3, and 92% from the free throw line. That is an incredible season, and he's also a very good defender, too. Okay, he's not just an offensive player, he's a very good defender. He's not quite like, like Ben Simmons or Giannis or anything, but he is definitely a good enough defender that you're not going to sit there and like be worried about putting him on a good offensive player. Alright, he does a very good job on the defensive end. This guy, there was an ESPN article that came out last year that had Chris Middleton as like the 10th best player in the NBA. And that article was stupid, and I think everyone, rightfully so, mocked it at the time. I know I did. But, let's not pretend that Chris Middleton's just some trash player. The dude is definitely, in my opinion, a top 30 player in the NBA right now. And he's gonna be very good this regular season again. I think the issue with him is that people just expect a little too much of him. He's just not, he's probably not the player you want to be the second best player on your team for a championship team, but I think Jrue Holiday is going to help take a little bit of the pressure off of him, and he's going to be just as good, if not better, this season, and maybe a little better in the playoffs thanks to Jrue Holiday and some Giannis improvements. Alright, Chris Middleton, very, very good player. At number 4 on my list, I think that the 4th best small forward in the NBA this season is going to be Jimmy Butler. Some people may think this is too low. Some people may even somehow think this is too high if you're like ridiculously high on Brandon Ingram for some reason. Jimmy Butler I think belongs at number 4, right around number 15 when you're talking about the best players in the league list. Jimmy Butler is just a fantastic player. He showed it in the playoffs. Alright, dude has been underrated for years because he's been on bad teams or teams where he didn't fit properly, or just teams where he didn't get along with the other players, and now on the Heat, he has proven that he really can be I mean, well, maybe not proven he can be the best player on a championship team, but the best player on a finals team he has certainly proven he can be, because he clearly was last season. He was fantastic in the playoffs, especially against the Lakers. Dude had an amazing playoff run, and really solidified himself as a Hall of Famer and an all-time great, in my opinion. Just a great player on both ends. The reason he's not higher is because the man's getting old. I want to say he's like 34, 35 this season. You know, he's going to regress slightly, assuming that time affects him like it does everyone except for LeBron James. Alright, he's going to be slightly worse this upcoming season. Bam and Tyler Hero and other guys in their team are going to take a little bit of a bigger role. And still a fantastic player, still bordering on being a superstar, but he's not going to be higher than the 3 guys I have above him. And at number 3, I have Kevin Durant. Alright, Kevin of Durant. Now, technically, I could see some people who think that this dude is going to be the 3rd best player in the NBA behind LeBron and Kawhi, and I've even seen some people who think he could be the best player in the NBA. And to those people, I just gotta ask, what the hell are you smoking, and can I have some, please? Because you have got to be out of your freaking mind if you think Kevin Durant is going to be the best, or even a top 3 player in the NBA this upcoming season. You gotta be out of your mind. And this is not at all an insult to Kevin Durant, okay? I will roast him and his weak Warriors rings like anyone else who didn't like him and how he ruined the NBA, okay? But at the end of the day, this is one of the best players who has ever played. However, that means nothing to an Achilles tear. Your Achilles tear doesn't give a shit how good you were beforehand, okay? It didn't give a crap for Kobe, it's probably not going to give a crap for John Wall, and it didn't give a crap for a million other players who have had this horrible injury and never recovered to their full state, okay? There is one player, one in NBA history, who fully recovered 100% from this, and that's Dominique Wilkins, who also happened to be like one of the most athletic players in NBA history. Kevin Durant is not going to come back 100%, guys. You gotta stop fooling yourself. It's just not going to happen. That's not how this injury works. That's nothing against Kevin Durant. It's just not how the injury works. The dude is not going to be, in my opinion, I don't see any way he comes back as a top 5 player. I think he borders around number 10 on that list in the best possible circumstance. It's a real possibility the dude is just not a superstar anymore and not a 15 player. Top 15 player, that is. However, I think that he will recover pretty well because his game does well with it, and with all the modern technology, modern medicine, all that kind of stuff, I think he's going to recover pretty well. However, pretty well still means that he's only around a top 10 player on the list, and he is not better than the 2 dudes I have ahead of him. Alright, I'm excited to see what Kevin Durant can do this season, but look, if you think this man is going to come back as like a top 3 player, just please try not to be too disappointed. Look at what Achilles tears do to players. They're not just some little injury, okay? I'm just telling you, just warning you now, Nets fans, alright? Dude's not going to be as good as he once was. Now, at number 2, and I'm sure you know who number 1 and number 2 are, number 2 is Kawhi Leonard. Still one of the best players in the league, okay? Some people have been kind of underrating him. I think for the most part, people have been pretty reasonable and know that he's still a top 5 player, no question. But I've seen some people say that this dude's like barely a top 10 player anymore after his Game 7 blunder. And let's get it right out of the way. Game 7, Kawhi against the Nuggets, he was terrible. He played terrible. However, for the playoffs as a whole, the dude was still fantastic. He had averaged the quietest 30 points a game ever in the playoffs. He was great throughout until Game 7. Alright, you look at Game 5 and 6 against the Nuggets, he was carrying those Clippers teams, and he just wasn't able to get them to the win. Okay, but he was carrying those 2 games. He played great. And the man burned out in the last game, and you know what? He deserves criticism for that, but the dude is, in my opinion, still a top 5 player in the league, still the second best small forward in the league, and he's going to be fantastic again this upcoming season. And at number 1, of course, it is the best player in the NBA right now. I think he may still be the best player in the NBA at the end of this upcoming season, and may be a repeating champion. It's LeBron frickin' James. LeBron James is a beast, you've heard it all. He's built different. He's not human, he's the king. Some people even think he's the GOAT. Alright, this man just almost won an MVP last year. I have no real reason to believe that he's going to regress, except for the fact that he's at the age when most people regress, but LeBron is not most people. He's just, he's built different. The man is probably going to have like some very slight regression. I wouldn't be surprised if his field goal percentage goes down like a tiny bit and he averages like another assist or like the same amount of assists and like one less point and like 1 or 2 less minutes a game. But like, the dude's not just going to fall off a cliff unless he has a major injury. That's just not who he is. I think he could very well still be the best player in the league next season, and the only player I think really could compete with him for that are Steph Curry and Giannis, and neither of them are small forwards, so don't need to mention them for this list. So for the purposes of the top 5 small forward list, LeBron James is my pick to be the best small forward in the NBA next season. Possibly the best player, alright? Honestly, possibly the best player. Dude's a beast. So, that is my top 5 small forwards for the 2021 NBA season. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Check out some other content. I will be coming out with the power forwards video and the centers video in the next week. Alright, in the next couple days. I'm trying to get this, this series done before the season starts, or the preseason I should say, on December 11th. So keep checking out for those if you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching.